what P&Z should be considering. And the 10 to 15% was what I was, before all this controversy between myself and certain other people came to the surface, other than the personal part of it. This part of it had to do with what I was trying to express was that at the hearing, both sides were brought to the table. Both the builder said one, and obviously the recommendation was made. What I was trying to say is, and it is my recommendation, I'm prepared to make it today, is that we, rather than let it sit as it has for a couple of years, in my opinion, should bring, there's not that much property left, and rather than let it sit there and fester, why don't we bring it to the table? Why don't we discuss it? Why don't we bring it to the public and vote on it? And that way we would know, one way or the other, whether the Planning and Zoning Commission supports it or not. I have tried to explain that I'm trying to reserve my opinion because I would like to be, as a commissioner, free and open to hear, have the public hearing, participate in it, not be slanted one way or the other, although obviously, in my opinion, despite my wife being a real estate agent, my actions have always been pro-open space. That being said, I don't want to recuse myself or have to declare myself one way or the other. I'd like to have people who own property be able to come forward and speak to the issue of whether there should be a greater taking. Not so much the developers, but the landowners themselves. And obviously have this discussion done in the open, in public, and rather than let it sit there and be part of a plan, and I read it as being a #1 priority for the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it has been in the past. What I was trying to say, perhaps to deliver my message as accurately as I could have, the only thing I was trying to say is that I believe it should be brought forward, discussed, and decided. That's my recommendation here. I came here specifically to make that recommendation and not to avoid any further discussion concerning open space or my position as far as supporting open space.
So, as I understand, then you're recommending that the planning and zoning immediately look to review independent subdivision regulation?
No. Review, and I don't want to say recommend changing it because that puts me in a position of support. I think it needs to be heard, and there needs to be an openness by commissioners to say, let's hear the issue. Should we or shouldn't we? What have these other cities done or haven't done? What is the condition there? There's so many acres left, only so many acres left. In my opinion, would it be, I'm not even going to state my opinion. I just believe that should be discussed publicly in the open, and then we should vote on it as to whether it should be 10 or 15%. Simple matter, and it can be done easily and it's certainly transparent, and people can participate, and people in the community, the landowners especially, because I think that was mentioned at the night of the hearing, was that there, in fact, there was one specific landowner that was mentioned. If I recall, it's not for me to mention the name, it's probably in the minutes, but I believe Attorney Bellis did mention one landowner as owning a large parcel of property and he possibly being affected. I think I recall that. Do I?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And I happen to know that family and that person, and I think that would be appropriate for people like that to come forward and speak and state their views as landowners versus open space, which I certainly support, and anything else. And it has nothing to do with myself and developers. It has to do with what I believe would be a fair way of approaching a reasonable request, 10 to 15%. So that would be my therefore, let me just, could I finish my statement just by saying it is my recommendation, openly, that we take this into consideration as soon as possible and make a decision for the public to know.
The 2006 Plan of Conservation Development that you have already approved recommends 15%.
Yes.
We would have been negligent to recommend anything.
I'm not disputing that.
So the only time it becomes law is a change in the
regs.
Right.
That's why I'm saying we should do it.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying we should do it. I'm not saying that anything was wrong with the plan. I never said anything was wrong with the plan, ever. Did not say one time that I didn't appreciate the plan. In fact, I brought this twice to be voted on and approved. Never said that the plan was not appropriate. In fact, I'm very appreciative of the plan. I made a mistake and congratulated I believe your husband on doing wonderful things. It is you that I've heard great things about, specifically from a young man.
It's okay.
But I made that mistake at a meeting, and I regret it. I wanted to say that publicly because my son is constantly telling me what a great job you do as far as working with organizations that are trying to preserve different parts of the
You wouldn't be the first to get us confused.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't, but I just wanted to do that publicly.
Your husband has been told how lucky he is.
Yeah.
A number of times.
Going back to this, without trying to schmooze you any longer, I believe it's an issue that should be decided. I don't believe it's an issue that should fester. It's too bad that it has gotten to where it is. I read the paper today, and it really distresses me to see the things that are being said about me because I was trying to express myself clearly. Didn't work. Okay, I accept that. I accept as being a member, I'm going to be criticized. However, it's a decision. There are many items on our agenda that should be decided. This is one of them. Let's do it.